let's look at the evolution of democracy. Enjoy the inclusion of race and gender rights, the abuses and misuses of all democracy. We rally and protest and give them liberty. Examine now the flaws of representatives. Go beyond the limits of all democracy, where few elected ones are given all the power to make all legal choices as representatives. We know from history how power did corrupt. Absolute power in hands of the few is prone to corruption and democracy. Conflicting choices are often made to benefit the rich, the poor pays more. Initiate legislation, vote on referendum, recall your politician anytime you want.
So first I'd like to introduce Anna Hunter. Anna Hunter is a local activist who has been organizing with the Anti-Poverty Committee, Save Low-Income Housing Coalition, and recently the Olympic Resistance Network. She has been involved in housing, tenancy, and welfare advocacy and has been involved in various anti-Olympic work since 2006.
There's a long history of displacement caused by the Games. In the last 50 years, more than 2 million people have been displaced by the Olympics, and Vancouver has added now to those numbers. Since we won the bid in 2003, the downtown east side has seen the closure of over 1,000 units of low-income housing, all of which are in some way connected to Olympic development and the ongoing gentrification of the downtown east side, which has been exacerbated by the Games and the land grab by developers. The so-called housing legacy that was to be left by the 2010 Games included the construction of affordable housing in the Athletes' Village, protection of rental housing stock, the assurance that people would not be made homeless and that no one be displaced or face eviction due to the Games, and that all inner city residents would have continued access to public spaces before, during, and after the Games. So what's really happened? The Athletes' Village was supposed to provide an equal mix of low and medium income housing. That plan has been completely disregarded, and now less than 20% of the units will go to medium income housing, not even low income housing. Further, the city has refused to support their existing legislation that has resulted in the shutdown of numerous single-room occupancy hotels, many of those which are now being used as budget Olympic accommodations. The city has also implemented Project Civil City, a social cleansing program criminalizing poor people with major penalties for minor violations. Finally, the closure of Pigeon Park, Oppenheimer Park, and Crab Park have all limited the access to public space that many people in our community call home. So another reason to resist the Olympics is the long-term effect the Olympics will have on our city, our province, and our communities. Olympic host cities take on huge debts to host the two-week party. For example, the debt for the 1976 Olympics was only paid off in 2002. Calgary had a $910 million debt, and Sydney was left with a debt of $2.3 billion. Vancouver will not be any different, and for years after the Olympics are over and the eyes of the world have left Vancouver, we will still be dealing with the cost of this inane two-week party. Some of the major costs we are paying for include the Richmond Indoor Speed Skating Oval, $125 million, the Whistler Sliding Center, $43 million, the Olympic Village, $76 million, the Whistler Nordic Center, $120 million, and the curling rink at the Hillcrest Park Stadium, $23 million. Although some may argue that curling rinks, speed skating ovals, and sliding centers are crucial for community development, I think that housing, healthcare, and education are a little more important. Right now, more than half of all the elementary schools in Vancouver are in desperate need of necessary structural improvements. We have a housing crisis in Vancouver that requires money to build new houses. Our healthcare system is also desperately in need of cash flow. So what will happen after the Games are over? Corporate sponsors have left, and VANOC is no longer under the spotlight. Workers will be laid off, social services will be depleted and scaled back, and we will suffer as we slowly pay off the $6 billion debt. The list could certainly go on, and I'm sure we're going to hear a few more reasons why the Olympics are not good for our communities.
BC has the lowest minimum wage and the lowest welfare rates in all of Canada. We have the highest child poverty rates in Canada for the 6th year in a row. This is shameful, and Vancouver calls itself a world-class city. Vancouver is trying to present itself to the world like we have no problem. Well, that's bull. We have a lot of problems. We just don't spend our money in fixing those problems. We spend it on corporate-sponsored Olympic parties.
Hold on, freeways! Hold on, freeways! Hold on, freeways!
We've already blown about $8 billion on the Olympics, but our provincial and federal governments are now planning to spend about another $10 billion to expand highways and freeways around the province, to increase pollution, to increase the consumption of tar sands oil, to cook our planet. Do you want to see the same amount of money spent on the Olympics blown on freeways? Schools, not freeways. Schools, not freeways. Schools, not freeways. Hi. Hello?
Like to introduce Delana Gail Bowen, community activist in the downtown east side, to do a proper welcoming on this land.
Hello to all. I want everybody to yell loud if you can hear me and if you support this cause. Share with you. I am a former homeless person from the downtown east side. I am a former addict. And with the blessings of the Creator, I am able to stand here today well and living and serving my community at the downtown east side. I want to challenge anybody who thinks that it's easy to live in poverty, to live in bug-infested hotels. I challenge you to come and spend a month in one of those hotels and tell me that this is not injustice, that we stand here today while millions of dollars are spent on the Olympic Games. To come and live in this environment and say that it's all right. It's not all right. It's not all right that our children are dying. It's not all right that these people can come and spend our dollars while people are living homeless on the street. It's not all right. Every time you walk down the street while these Olympics are on, think of the dollars that have been spent in the arenas, with the entertainment, with the sports activities. And then I want you to think of a mother and a child who don't have food, who don't have blankets for a bed, who don't have a bed. And tell me it's all right. Tell me it's all right. I want to ask that each and every one of you, when you're walking through these days, while these Olympic Games are going on, to send a prayer to those who are suffering, but also send a prayer to those who think it's all right to spend this kind of money when people are dying, and living in poverty. They need as much help as we do.